Have you ever met someone where if there was a price tag on spending an hour with them, you'd actually pay it? Not because they're famous, not because they're rich, just being around them feels like a genuinely good time. You always leave the conversation feeling better than when you walked into it. Some people have that effect on almost everyone they meet. And if you actually break down why, it's never really about what they say. It's about how they make people feel while they're around them. That's real charisma. Not loud, not funny, not the center of attention. Just that people would rather be near you than not. In this video, I'm giving you 4 shifts that build exactly that kind of presence. Each one is something you can start using in your very next conversation. But before we do, if you want to know exactly where you stand right now, take the free charisma test linked in my profile. Alright, let's dive in. 1. The attention gift. Here's a scene you've probably lived on both sides of it. You're telling someone something, doesn't even matter what, could be your day, a story, something that actually matters to you. And mid-sentence, they glance at their phone. Maybe it lights up, maybe they just check it out of habit. You keep talking anyway, they nod, they even throw in a quick, So it seems like they're still with you, but you feel it instantly. They're gone. And suddenly, finishing the story feels pointless. It's such a small moment, but it stings more than it should, because what it actually communicates is, whatever's on that screen matters more right now than you do. And that's exactly why it feels a little like disrespect, even when nobody meant it that way. Think about why that moment feels so bad. Attention has become one of the most fought over things there is. Your phone wants it. Ads are built to steal it. Everyone around you is competing for a piece of it. So when someone gives you their full, undivided attention, it feels rare. It feels good. Magnetic people get this instinctively. When they talk to you, you get all of them. Not 80% with the other 20% checking who just texted. The phone goes away, not face up on the table. Actually away, somewhere neither of you is tempted to glance at it, unless you're genuinely expecting something urgent. But it's more than just putting the phone down. It's genuinely listening instead of waiting for your turn to speak. It's asking a follow-up question instead of nodding and moving on. It's repeating back something they just said, so they know it actually landed. It's helping them tell their best story by fueling it with curiosity instead of half listening until you can talk again. Do that and something interesting happens. The other person starts to feel like the most important person in the room. And because you were the one who made them feel that way, you become the most important person to them, simply because you gave them the one thing almost nobody gives away for free anymore. But giving someone your full attention only gets you so far if the way you're looking at them is still judging them. That's exactly where the next shift comes in. 2. The curiosity switch. Does this situation sound familiar? You meet someone new, and without even realizing it, your brain starts running a little checklist. Are they cool? Are they impressive? Do they check the right boxes? Nobody does this on purpose. It's just what most brains do. And to be fair, it made sense once. Thousands of years ago, evaluating a stranger in seconds could be the difference between life and death. Is this person a threat or safe to turn your back on? Your brain still runs that same program today. The problem is, at a party or in a work meeting, nobody's actually trying to kill you. That old survival checklist just quietly turns into judgment, and people can feel when they're being judged, even if they couldn't tell you why. Charismatic people run a completely different program. Instead of asking, is this person good? They ask, what's actually interesting about this person? It sounds like a small reframe, but it changes everything about how you show up. Your face softens, your questions get better, your listening gets real instead of performed. Everyone has something genuinely interesting about them, a weird job, an odd hobby, a strong opinion, a story they've never really gotten to tell. Most people just never dig for it because they're too busy evaluating instead of exploring. Your job is to find it. The next time you meet someone, don't ask yourself if they're impressive. Ask yourself what you're curious about. What would you actually want to know? And then ask that. People can tell the difference between being interviewed and being genuinely explored. One feels like a test, the other feels like being seen, and being seen is exactly what makes someone want to stick around. But even if you're fully attentive and genuinely curious, there's one habit that can quietly undo both, and almost everyone does it without realizing. 3. The value pause. Picture this, you ask someone a question and the answer shoots back instantly. Same energy, same tone, every single time. You can practically hear the autopilot running. Now picture someone else. You ask them the exact same question, and for 1 second, they actually go quiet. You can see them thinking, and when the answer comes, it just hits different. You've probably heard the advice before. Pause before you speak, it makes you look more confident. And you probably rolled your eyes at it. Honestly, you'd be right to, if that's all it was. Because most guys who try this get it completely wrong. They think it's about performing the pause, sitting there in silence on purpose, just so they can technically say they paused before speaking. That's just painfully awkward. It reads as fake, like someone doing an impression of confidence instead of actually having it. That's not what this advice is about. The pause isn't the point, it's about what you do during it. You use that half second to actually think, to process what the other person just said, instead of firing off whatever response was already loaded and ready to go. Think about the last time you asked someone a tough question and they answered instantly. Did it feel thought through or did it feel rehearsed? Now think about someone who actually paused, thought, and then answered. Which one did you trust more? When you start using the value pause, your answers stop being autopilot reactions and start being actual answers. People feel that difference, and it makes your words carry more weight. Give it enough time and you become the person people actually come to when they need real advice, because they know you'll actually think about it instead of just saying whatever comes to mind first. And there's a bonus to it nobody really talks about. Your filler words disappear. All those, that's just your brain talking out loud while it's still figuring out what to say. Give it a second of real silence first, and there's nothing left to fill. And yet, none of this matters if you blow the ending. You can nail the entire conversation and still leave the other person with basically nothing to remember because of how you walked away. 4. The warm exit. You've heard it 1,000 times. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Every dating coach, every self-help book, every social media post about small talk, all of them talk about the first impression, but nobody talks about the last one. Think about how most conversations actually end. Someone glances at the time, says, "Anyway, I should probably head out," and that's it. Functional, forgettable. Nothing wrong with it, but nothing memorable either. Now picture someone who ends it differently. Before walking away, they say something like, "Honestly, this was really nice. I enjoyed talking to you." Or if you mention something coming up, a big presentation, a tough conversation, a trip, they say, "Keep me updated on how it goes. I'm actually invested now." That's what I call a warm exit. And it does something the rest of the conversation can't. It turns a normal, pleasant interaction into one the other person actually thinks about afterward. There's a small, genuine thread left open, a compliment that felt real, or a reason for them to think of you again once that thing they mentioned actually happens. It costs you one sentence, but it's often the one people remember most. It's the last thing they feel before you're gone. And endings stick. There's a reason the film industry always talks about happy endings. They figured out that the ending is what people take home with them. Not the beginning, not the middle of the movie, the ending. Same thing happens in a conversation. Remember that person from the start of this video, the one people would pay to spend time with? This is exactly how you become them. Not one big trick, just the sum of small moments, full attention, real curiosity, an answer worth waiting for, and an ending that leaves them wanting more. If you got value out of this, please do me a favor and hit subscribe. It genuinely helps us keep making videos like this. And if you want more social skill tricks, then watch this video next.